In this video, I would like to highlight the new fluting toolpath, in particular the new weave functionality that is integrated within the tool. This creates decorative woven effects from open, closed, and self-intersecting vectors. So, I shall begin by opening a new model and continuing with the demonstration. Here is my new model. In my last video, I showed you how it was possible to export and save vectors to the vector library. Here, I would like to show you how to do the opposite, in importing vectors you had already saved for use in a new model. To begin with, right-click on the Vectors tab of the project menu and select Import. This will take you directly to the vector layers library. You can see my vector layers that I have already saved. I would like to continue using the Turkish weave, so I select that here, select Open, and the vectors are loaded into my model. You will notice that my vectors are all grouped. I can rectify this by right-clicking and selecting Ungroup Vectors. They are now all individual vectors. I will now separate these vectors into two distinct layers. This will help me in creating two different toolpaths, as I want different parts of the model to be machined differently. Here then, you can see my new layer called Turkish Detail. I can choose to turn off this layer and continue working just with the intersecting open vectors. To create my toolpath, I will select the toolpath section of the project tree. Here, all of the toolpath options become available. I will select Create Fluting Toolpath, and the menu appears. I can now begin filling in the parameters I would like to machine to. Cutting from a depth of 0.2 down to a depth of 2 mm. Selecting my 120-degree V-bit carving tool and using the setting Specify Start and End Profiles. This gives you a manual control over the length of the start and end of the flute, either in terms of percentage or in millimeters. In this example, I would like the start of my flute to be 30% of the total length of the vector, and the same again for the end of the flute. You can see that I already have the Weave checkbox selected. This is what enables the weaving function. I will set my material block to a thickness of 10 mm. Ensuring that all of my vectors are selected, I can now calculate this toolpath. I would now like to create a toolpath for the detail that I had separated to a different layer. Switching layers, this becomes available. I can select my vectors, and again select to create a new fluting toolpath. I will input the same values as before, but this time using a larger beginning and end to my flute will ensure that the cut does not fall as deep between intersections. Again, the weave crossover is selected, and I can calculate this toolpath. You can see it appears separately to my previous one. I can now simulate both of these and give you an idea of what it should look like. Adjusting the simulation parameters on the right-hand side gives a more lifelike view. If we zoom in to some of these intersections, you can see that the toolpath passes first above and then below each intersection. This is repeated along the length of the vector. Below, above, below again, and above. This is the same for both the open and the closed intersecting vectors. You can see that it's created a decorative panel using a very simple toolpath. Again, I will leave you with some pictures of different designs that can be created using similar techniques. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.